Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, you're well, guys. So today I'm going to talk about work-life balance. And that's because from time to time, a number of people will message me and ask me, Fazan, we've heard work-life balance isn't great at the big four or top 10 accounting firms. What should we do? Should we still apply for these firms? Should we still look to join these firms if we have an offer? And from my perspective, the answer is fairly simple. However, I wanted to do a video on this just to take you on a journey to help you make that right decision. And I wanted to say before we begin that although I'm going to talk about work-life balance from a big four, top 10 accounting perspective, this video still applies to those of you who may be looking to apply or join a smaller accounting firm, or for those of you who are looking to join a role within industry. Because in every single role, you will have some form of a busy season or a busy period. For example, say you're an accountant that's working in industry, your busy period is likely to be month end, where you may find yourself working later for a few days as you have to close accounts for that period. I think it's important to clarify that busy season can be different depending on the role, service line, organization that you're working for. For example, if you have two trainees that are working in audit or assurance, they can have very different busy periods where they have to work later, even though they're in the same team at the same firm. And that really depends on the clients that you have. So as an example, you may have clients with a 31st December year-end date, and they have to report on their accounts publicly by say 31st of March. So from that period, January to March, you may find yourself working longer hours. And say if you're in the tax service line, you may find yourself working later in March because a number of companies or your clients may have a 31st of March reporting deadline with HMRC. So when someone says to you that your busy period is from March to May, you should know that that's applicable to them only. Your busy period may be different, even if you're working in the same team. So in terms of my own experience, you guys know that I worked at the National Audit Office and BDO whilst I was in practice. So I had a taste of both the public sector and the private sector. And for me, the public sector in terms of work-life balance was much more manageable. And that was because all government accounts had a 31st of March year-end date. So we knew our busy period was going to be the same each year from about April to June. However, when I was at BDO in the private sector, I had a whole host of clients with different year-end dates. So that meant that I had busy season at regular intervals throughout the year. And honestly, in most instances, it was actually manageable. When it was busy season, I'd be working till about 7 or 8 p.m. at BDO. It wasn't too bad. It may sound bad, but you've got to remember when you're working for a big organization or in a big city, you'll have facilities nearby. So after work, you can have a quick gym session and be home for around about 9:30 p.m. However, I did work longer hours when it was required. And the most clear example I can think of is when I was working from about 9:30 in the morning till about 11:30 at night. And I had to go home because that was the last train from London to High Wycombe. And then once I'd get home, I'd spend about another hour working before I'm back in the office for about 9:30. And you could find yourself realistically doing that for maybe 2 weeks at a time, depending on the size of the client. So say you've got 2 or 3 big clients, you may find yourself doing that 3 or 4 times a year. I know it sounds really bad working late hours and not having any time to do anything else. However, you've got to remember, firstly, you're not going to be working for 14 hours straight. It's just not possible. Okay, any person will tell you it is not possible to be sat at your desk fully efficient for 14 hours straight. You'll have regular breaks, you'll have a laugh with your team, you'll have catch-ups with people in that time. So it's not all just work. I mean, I remember when I was doing these sort of hours, I'd be in the office with a few members from my team, and they'd either be helping me on the project that I'm working on, or they'd be working on a different client. And one thing that would often happen is around 7 p.m, we'd all go for dinner. We were on Baker Street, so we would all go to a nearby restaurant or nearby fast food place and go and get some food. And honestly, we'd spend about 2 hours getting food. And that does happen. Even where you're working at a client side, you'll all get together, you'll all decide on where you want to order from, order it on Deliveroo. And honestly, you'll probably spend hour and a half at least enjoying your meal, having a good time, catching up with people, taking a break from that. So although I say 9:30 to 11:30, always remember, you're not going to be working at 100% efficiency. It's just not possible. So now you guys know about busy season, how it differs from person to person, and you also know about the sort of hours you may find yourself doing in busy season, and the fact that at that time, your work-life balance won't be great. Now let's get to the million-dollar question, is should that impact your decision on applying to or joining the big 4 top 10 accounting firms, or any other big sort of company or organization in industry? And the simple answer is no, it should not. And there are two reasons I have for this. So firstly, when people come to me with their concerns, it's always, Fazan, I've spoken to someone who's at the Big Four, or I've spoken to someone at a company and they've said to me, don't do it, the work-life balance isn't great. Well, my first point is, when someone says that to you, you should be saying, well, why are you still there? Why are you still doing those hours and telling me not to? Your mind should be thinking straight away, well, if it's that bad, why don't you leave? Why don't you quit? And the simple answer is, it's not that bad. It's not unbearable at all. Remember, the Big Four, top 10 accounting firms, or any accounting firms, they're service-based organizations. They provide services, so they rely on their people. So if it was that bad in terms of work-life balance, where it's unbearable, you shouldn't do it, you're recommending to others, please don't join, don't do what I do, well, then actually these organizations wouldn't be able to employ anyone. But the reality is that the Big Four in particular are amongst the most successful organizations in the world. And that's because of its people. So if work-life balance was actually that bad, do you think that these organizations would have tens of thousands of people working for them? Probably not, right? And the second thing is, since when was hard work such a bad thing? Do you honestly believe that you will find a job where you will go and do 9 to 5 and become CFO or partner after 15 years experience? It's not going to happen. If you want to progress to the top, you have to stand out. By working later hours, by working hard during busy season, you're showing your commitment. You're showing you're committed to get the job done. You're showing off your skills that you have. You can manage time. You can organize things effectively. You can get the job done. And when you work hard during busy season, don't think it goes unnoticed, because that is what will help you stand out and inshallah help you progress on to the next stage, whether it's manager, director or partner. If you just want to work 9 to 5 and expect your team to work later, but say when it hits 5 o'clock, I'm going to go home because that's it, I've done my 40 hours for the week. Honestly, I can guarantee you now, you're probably not going to get promoted or go very far in this industry or other industries as well. So when you're speaking to someone next time, they're talking about busy season and how it's quite challenging. Yes, it is challenging. Is it unbearable? Definitely not. You shouldn't be thinking, oh no, I'm demotivated now. I don't want to work for the Big Four. I want a nice cushy 9 to 5 job. Because trust me, when you want to progress, you'll find a lot of doors are closed for you because you haven't shown that you're committed. You haven't shown that you can get the job done. You haven't shown your organization skills. You haven't gone the extra mile, in short. So when someone talks to you about busy season, I want you guys to be motivated thinking, yeah, I'm going to go in, I'm going to absolutely smash it, work the hours I need to so that it can help me get to the top. That should be your mindset. So inshallah, I'll leave it there, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Please do share it with someone who may need some motivation, who may be a bit unsure about applying for the Big Four or what to expect in the workplace. And as always, guys, I appreciate the support you guys give.